your time is the ultimate limiting factor. More has not become more. It's become less. By caring about everything, you can't care about anything. Choose less in order to make more happiness, more energy, more health in our lives. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Selling Trust Podcast with Nathan Mark. This is the 4-part mini-series of Will We Finally Take Our Lives Back, parentheses, from technology. This is episode 2, talking about how more is not more. This is one of my favorite topics. Something that we see a lot in the sales world, that I see a lot in the sales world, is people thinking that more is more. It could not be further from the truth. Some of the most successful salespeople that I have had the privilege of working with have actually become more successful as they have whittled down their accounts, as they have shrunken their client lists, as they have reduced the static in order to focus on what matters. Meanwhile, I see many junior salespeople fall into the trap of thinking that more is more. Oh, I need just one more account and I will achieve the numbers that I want. Oh, I just need one more thing to cross that next hurdle. The problem is, the more you have, the less focused you are, especially in a sales role. The more clients that you are actively calling on and expected to take care of, the less time you have for those clients. The more busy work there's going to be, the more names you need to remember, the more connections you have to keep track of. And so while you might think, oh, if I went from 10 accounts to 20 accounts, I'm going to be selling so much more. The truth of the matter is your time is the ultimate limiting factor. And without time to take care of that 100% increase in accounts, you're not going to double or triple or quadruple your revenue. It's going to have some kind of diminishing return. This is something that I was lucky enough to figure out fairly early on in my career. And I did it more selfishly than anything because some clients, I won't say people, there were some clients, whether it be individuals or cultures at certain accounts, that just did not jive with me, right? They weren't part of my authentic self. My personality and their personality did not mesh, one reason or another. And so what I started doing is I started identifying these clients and I started slowly getting rid of them. Just because it truly was, even if they were doing a decent amount of business with us, it truly was a waste of my time. Because there was no partnership, there was no synergy, there was no desire for a back and forth benefit to happen. It was just me on the hook with these people who really could care less about who I was. Meanwhile, I wanted to pour in to the people that wanted to do business with me. I wanted to get to know them better. I wanted to do more work with them because they were fun and interesting to do work with. Oh, and they had my back. And I had their back in turn. And so together we worked to do better business. And it was a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing because that's where I'm at right now. And I'm very happy. Meanwhile, I have associates of mine that have more accounts than they know what to do with, and they're unfocused. They don't know what to do. More is not more. All right? Another really easy way to illustrate this idea, right, is by everything that has happened around us in the last, call it 10 to 15 years. Before cell phones and before social media, I would argue that we were more connected. We were more connected when we had less means of connecting. You had to have face-to-face conversations. You had to sit down and write a letter. You had to be intentional with the time that you spent and the connections that you were making. You needed to know your neighbors and you needed to know the people in your community in order to know what was going on. Fast forward to now, we have more ways of understanding what's going on than ever before, and yet we have the highest amount of depressed people feeling like they're isolated and alone than we've ever had. You can connect with people instantaneously with your cell phone. But do we do it? Or do we just sit there scrolling videos and scrolling silly cat memes and scroll? We have the ability to call someone in our hand, and yet normally we won't do it. We have the ability to sit down and gain information and plan a party or plan an event or schedule time with someone, but we end up spending it on stuff that, quite honestly, doesn't really matter. It's going to be interesting as AI becomes more and more prevalent. And AI is able to essentially do more, right? Allow us to do more. Where are we going to go with that? I think having cell phones and having emails and having the fax machine and having all of these methods of doing more work has ultimately just led us to feeling more burned out. It hasn't really increased our quality of life. More has not become more. It's become less. And so I argue that we're going to have the ability, as AI becomes more prevalent and is able to do more, we are going to have the option to let the AI do more for us so that we can focus on less, right? One of my favorite sayings, mantras, if you will, that I came up with shortly after my son was born is care more by caring less. And it sounds a little counterintuitive and you might go, what? But honestly, you can really only care about 3 or 4 things in your life, like deeply, genuinely care about 3 or 4 things in your life. And so I decided that after he was born, that's all I was going to do. There was 3 or 4 things that I put on a pedestal, not to be messed with, and everything else is just static. Now, that is a dynamic list. It can be a dynamic list. But the point is, you cannot care about or worry about everything all the time. If you try to do that, you will go crazy. You will feel burnt out. You will feel massive amounts of anxiety. You will want to crawl under a rock and cry. Because by caring about everything, you can't care about anything. But by caring about very few things, you can actually truly care about those things. AI is going to allow us to do this. AI is going to be there to handle tasks and handle the mundane, handle the things that we don't really want to do, that we need to do, but don't want to do. Like maybe taxes. Oh my gosh. If I can have an AI assistant do my taxes and interface with the IRS and talk to the government on my behalf, yes, sign me up. AI, please do that. Please do that. I don't want to do that anymore. And instead, I want to take all the time that I spend on doing taxes, and you know what? I want to spend that with my kids. I want to spend that with my wife. I want to spend that with my friends. My goodness, that would be amazing. I think we are going to have that renaissance where we are going to be able to get our time back. And we are going to be able to choose less, right? A few things that are really important to us to focus on, and all the other things that we still need to do that are necessary, but not necessarily important. We're going to be able to have AI take care of those things. I personally think it's going to be a beautiful thing. I think it's going to allow me to really put my philosophy of care more by caring less into overdrive. I will be able to maybe even add a fifth item that I can care about, because there will be so much less static. I will know that the things that I need to be handled are handled, and that the important things in my life that only I can be a part of, connection making, helping my kids, helping my community, growing in my faith, all of these things that are choices, right? Because that's what it comes down to, choice. We as humans have the ability to choose. AI does not. AI was created and it is a tool to be used, but we have the ability to choose. And so we need to spend time making sure our choices are good choices. Making sure that when we choose someone, whether it's our children, whether it's our spouse, whether it's spending time with our parents because they're getting old, when we make that choice, we also need to make sure that we have the time to properly put into it. I am looking forward to a time where less is more can truly shine. I think it's going to be great. I think there is going to be a synergy, if we choose there to be, between AI and ourselves and our work lives and our personal lives, where we are going to be afforded the opportunity to be picky and choosy about the few things, about the small number of things that we are going to focus on. And we are going to allow this artificial intelligence to handle the other stuff that's still necessary to keep the wheel moving, but it's stuff that doesn't need that human touch, and maybe also stuff that really just doesn't bring any joy or satisfaction to our lives as humans. I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm looking forward to it. I am hopeful that we are able, going forward as people, as individuals, to choose less in order to make more happiness, more energy, more health in our lives. I look forward to seeing you here on the next episode of this 4-part series. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. I hope it was impactful. If it was, go ahead, drop a comment down below. I would be more than happy to talk about any of this with you. Till next time, take care. I'll catch you later.